Thanks for reaching out after I posted that little clip.
Yeah, man.
I was just trying
Thank you
to,
for doing that.
Yeah,
that's all good. I was
we
just
really
trying to
enjoyed
share
it.
it, and then you guys came through. It was really, really cool.
Awesome. Well, right back at
Yeah,
you, man.
thank you.
As soon as I saw you posted it, I'm like, this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
So thrilled to be joined by today's guest, right-handed high school pitcher out of Toronto, originally from Brisbane, Australia, Lewis Foster. Welcome to the walk-off, buddy. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Uh,
man, absolutely. And I think we got a little news for all the walk-off followers out there. Lewis is officially joining the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, we're just talking with Lewis about him doing some editing and stuff like that on the video side of things, and maybe joining us on some live streams. So we're happy to have you aboard, buddy. Welcome.
Glad to be here. It's gonna be great.
Okay, so there's a few reasons I wanted to talk with you today. You're very active on Blue Jays Twitter, and you're one of the few positive, optimistic guys out there sometimes. I know that this team has been struggling, but as a player yourself, you always have this well thought out and insightful way of looking at the game. And that was something that I wanted to just, number one, say refreshing, right?
Yeah,
And number two, just say, follow Lewis on Twitter. What's your handle, bud?
I think I gotta change it, but it's Jay's kid underscore right-handed RHP. I think.
You're
I think.
almost you're almost Jay's man at this point.
Jeez, man. Still got a bit to go, but yeah, on the way.
Well, let's start with the fact you're Australian, my man. Baseball ranks down the list of sports that hold most Australians' interest. Where did your love of the game come from? Is that your dad's doing, or what's up?
It's my dad's doing. No, the Australian baseball program is not the greatest thing ever, but I found a love for the game through watching Jays games at 5 a.m. in the morning or whenever they were playing on my time, and
Really?
started playing. Yeah, well, I wasn't really the biggest fan because you wouldn't really be able to watch it.
Right.
So then, but I played baseball, which was great.
Yeah.
It wasn't the greatest league, wasn't well put together. As you kind of got older, the league there was like corruption in leagues. It got really weird in baseball Australia. But no, I love playing baseball. And then finally, I'm in Canada and I'm playing it more.
What inspired the move to Toronto? Is that just your dad or your folks got a job, or what was that about?
Family, pretty much.
Family.
So yeah, we had family up here. We didn't have much family in Australia, and what was there was a bit spread out. And so here was the big move.
Have you found moving to Canada has opened some opportunities for you baseball wise as a pitcher?
Miles
Night
apart.
and day, eh?
Hey, absolutely. In Australia, you weren't finding much there for maybe college or
Yeah.
possibly major for a professional career. But in Canada, the programs they have here, the teams, such higher quality, the coaches are better. It's the perfect scenario for baseball for me.
Nice.
Even though it's interesting because in Australia you can technically play all year long, so you think there'd be a little bit of a leg up there, but it's too hot at times, or what?
Sometimes you're just not you don't want to be on a baseball field. Sometimes it just wasn't big enough. Even if like even the weather was great, like all year round, you could play all year round, but it wasn't big enough of a sport. We'd be losing our baseball trainings to soccer teams who wanted to use the field. So
Well,
yeah.
of course, too, in Australia, when you bat flip, the bat just circles back and comes at you, right? That boomerang effect.
The boomerang. Yeah.
You're up to 86 miles an hour, correct?
I have hit it and I've been cruising about 80. So I'm staying in that
Nice.
area. Yeah.
That's great, man. I know velocity is such a big deal in baseball these days. How do you train for velocity?
Oh, train for velocity. Well, it's been a long process to get to the speed, and because in Australia, obviously, I wasn't doing weights and stuff, and when here it was COVID, so I wasn't doing weights at all. So I'm a pretty skinny guy. I'm not that. I'm really tall though. I got really big hands, Tyler Glassdown hands,
Yes.
spin that ball well. but it was mechanics. I was just going on YouTube, trying to watching major leaguers, and it was the only thing I could improve. I couldn't really work on trying to get stronger, so it was just trying to get those mechanics down. And then I finally get to go on mounds and with in front of pitching coaches, and I'm learning, and I'm starting to throw harder. The ball's moving a bit more, and
In your defense, you are 15.
hey, I'm 15. Yeah, I know.
So the fact you're getting it up there to 86 is pretty cool. You have a knuckle curve too, right?
I change breaking balls daily. So some
Okay.
days the slider's working, some days the curve's just flying to the backstop. Some days I'll just get around the side of it and see where it goes. It's a learning process.
Well, I can imagine even with where you're at currently in your development, it's
Yeah,
just all about learning, right? Like, is it
pretty
even
much.
that much about how, obviously, success is important, but
Mhm.
is it even about the numbers at the end of the day at this point? Like, you're probably not paying too much attention to it, are you?
I think one more important things about playing in Australia was no one was really recording your stats, so you didn't really care. And I've just learned to just don't even bother looking at them. But when you put up, I remember the games. I don't remember season stats. So if I have a good game, I'm feeling good, and that's all I really need going into my next start. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Now, we've gone over how you got here and where
Mhm.
you're at. Now, you put something on Twitter that was really interesting to me. And one of the biggest things I wanted to talk to you about was the sticky stuff. Obviously, this is
Mhm.
baseball's latest scandal, right? And
Big
it's
thing.
coming to a head. Crackdowns with suspension start June 21.
Mhm.
And most of the guys have already started pitching without it. And I know we've talked a lot about it on the show here in particular. Just the fact, and I mean, Adam and I have harped on it a bit, that there is a huge difference between sunscreen and rosin and spider tack, right? Which is,
Yeah, huge difference.
but Major League Baseball, as soon as you give them a problem, they're going to grab a gun and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, which just seems to be how they have handled this. So before we get into what you think about the rules that they've put in place, and even Tyler Glass now coming out about his injury and kind of blaming that, how
Mhm.
prevalent is it amongst 15-year-old pitchers? When you're out on the diamond, are there anybody out there? Is it even being encouraged to maybe pine tar your fingers?
I haven't played much baseball out on the diamond because of COVID,
Right, of
obviously, but
course.
I'm doing a bit of trainings, and I went to one pitching session. It was a bit of a off the side thing. It was with a bunch of guys I hadn't really played with before or even knew, and they're putting pine tar in their gloves and they're putting it on their fingers, and I'm going like, damn, that's crazy.
So it is. At
Mind
15, it is a
blown.
thing.
I have one guy I know. He's talking to me about it and saying, like, are they going to check? And I'm like, they're not going to check because they don't think you're doing it. You shouldn't be doing it. You're 15, man. It it was interesting. I know I definitely want to try pine tar just for fun, see how it
Yeah,
feels.
of
But
course, just
I
to
never,
see.
yeah. But I got tie glass in my fingers, as I said. I don't need to be doing it. I don't need to be doing it. That's where
Well,
I'm at with it.
especially now with the crackdown, why even get into it now?
Yeah, it won't even be a thing when I'm trying to make a push for professional baseball. So.
So I'm curious about your thoughts then on Tyler Glass now. He actually just recently got injured and full on blamed MLB banning everything, right? He kind of said that he's had to grip the baseball harder now, and that is part of what has inspired his forearm injury, right? And he might be out for the year. And this is one of the top pitchers in baseball. I mean, Jacob DeGrom just got injured too. Like,
Mhm.
like there's just, these are the last guys baseball to grow the game want injured. Do
Mhm.
you think baseball kind of made a mistake here? Do you think that there's a happy medium, or at least they could have waited till the end of the year for guys to start getting used to it? Because there's two sides, right? There's one side where everyone's like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have been cheating this whole time anyways. And then there's the other side of like, listen, guys have been cheating forever with this stuff. It's not the rosin and the sunscreen that hitters are complaining about. It's the stuff you're putting on your hand that could make a cinder block stick to it, right? Where do
Yeah.
you fall on this? Do you think that these injuries actually could be happening because of this?
I think with the Tyler Glasnow thing, I was originally like, what is he talking about? And then I saw that huge video and rant he
Yeah.
went on, and I was like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. Because as a pitcher, I've done it before. I've injured myself because of like a really small problem I've had.
Yeah.
Like, I've had shoulder problems and back problems. I just had one pitching coach finally tell me I'm doing something wrong, and it never showed up again. And then with Tyler gripping the ball harder, when you're a professional pitcher that's throwing 100 all the time,
Yeah.
small differences are really going to hurt you. And I agree with Tyler here. I think they push too hard. I think when you take away sunscreen and rosin, that was crazy. Like, I think they got to get rid of like the spider tack and maybe the pine tar. But when you're just trying to get a good grip on the ball, I mean, come on, that's silly. That was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I gotta agree with you, Lewis. It just seems so wild to me. Like MLB is like, when you get asked to prove you're not a robot, and they're like, point out all the traffic lights. MLB is just like glue, 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 glue. Like they're just making everything illegal. Like there's
Yeah.
such a huge difference between
Hmm.
the substances that these pitchers can add 500 revolutions a minute of spin to their ball and sunscreen and rosin, right? Like,
Yeah. Come on. It's silly. Yeah.
I liked Trevor Bauer's response there the other day, where he's like, "Well, am I gonna just have to ask for professional cleaning between innings, like to avoid suspension? Like,
yeah,
I'm just gonna be like, oh my hands feel sticky, and call someone out to come wash my hands on the mound, like." And I'm waiting for him to do it because he will.
It's ridiculous.
if you haven't seen the Trevor Bauer clip, by the way, Lewis, you got to check it out because he
It's
just,
a good one.
as the typical pot stirrer he is. Yeah, exactly. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Yeah.
It was great.
All right. Honestly, Lewis, we were going to make this a quick one, but we did just want to introduce everyone to you, our newest member of the team. Thank you so much for sitting down with us, and looking forward to this being a regular thing.
No problemo. Thank you so much for having me on. I get to talk baseball. It's great.
Yeah, nothing better.
Yeah.
Love it.